Today, I'll be responding to the allegations made against me by Kaiser Wilhelm to the 23rd, also known as Quickeyes. In his most recent YouTube short, Quickeyes has accused me of deceit and manipulation. He claims that I misled him to believe that I was beginning my slumber, as shown in the screenshot that he presents as evidence. However, the official definition of the term bedtime seems to have been misinterpreted by him. As you can see, bedtime is defined as the usual time at which one goes to bed. I did not explicitly state that I was going to go to bed. Rather, I stated that, merely, it was my bedtime. In fact, in the screenshot you can clearly see that I did just that. I stated, it's bedtime. It's obvious what has happened. Quickeyes has misunderstood the meaning of my message, even wishing me a good night. While I thank him for this kind-hearted gesture, I do not appreciate his jumping to conclusions. Now I'll address the second half of our exchange. The first thing I'd like to highlight is my use of Quickeyes' real name. I believe that my use of his real name conveys my belief that this was to be a private conversation between him and I. I therefore reprimand his inappropriate behavior and ask for a formal apology. However, I do concede that my response to Quickeyes may have elicited some form of confusion. I did in fact thank him for his previous statement, an action which may have been viewed as an affirmation that that statement was true. For this, I take full accountability. However, I do not believe that this is enough to justify his response of creating an exposé video on me. Now I'll go over the potentially most damning piece of evidence that this exchange has captured. In it, I appear to admit to lying to Quickeyes. Quickeyes claims that I have deceived him about the time at which I was going to bed. However, nowhere in my message did I state, I'm going to sleep now, or I'm getting in bed. I merely acknowledged a time in reference to my routine. Quickeyes is the only one who directly mentions sleeping in our exchange. In fact, if we look closely, I never once mentioned I was ending the conversation. My words reflect a statement of time, not of intent. The difference is subtle, but important. Quickeyes has clearly jumped to conclusions and painted the entire situation as deceit and misdirection. In conclusion, I believe this entire situation stems from a misunderstanding and an overreaction. While I take responsibility for any confusion caused, I deny all claims of intentional deceit. I respectfully request that Quickeyes retract his accusations and consider issuing a formal apology for both the public misrepresentation and the breach of what was clearly a private conversation. To the general audience, thank you for listening. To Quickeyes, I hope we can reconcile. And to P10000 and Handle XD, you two can go fuck yourselves.